I never used to believe in ghosts. Not until I saw a house that shouldn't exist, a house that appears only on Halloween night and disappears before dawn. This happened back in 2019 when I was a senior at SUNY Cortland in upstate New York. My friends and I, a group of 4 film students, decided to spend Halloween making a short horror documentary for our YouTube channel. It was supposed to be fun, something spooky but harmless. But what we captured that night, none of us were prepared for. It started with a rumor. There was this old story locals would tell around Cortland, especially near the small rural town of Virgil, about a house that only appeared once a year. People called it the Hollow House. According to legend, the house was built in 1897 by a man named Henry Bell, a reclusive architect obsessed with death. His wife, Clara, supposedly died during childbirth, and he spent years trying to build a home where she could live again. Neighbors said he held seances, buried dolls in the yard, and carved strange symbols into the wood of the house. Then one Halloween night, he vanished. When the townspeople went to his property the next day, the house was gone completely. No ruins, no foundation, just grass and dirt where it used to stand. Every year since, on Halloween, people have claimed to see the house reappear on Route 392, just past the old quarry road, but only after midnight. Most say it's a hoax. Others say if you go inside, you never come out. There were 4 of us that night, me, the narrator. I was handling the camera. Mason, my roommate, the loud, confident type who always wanted to prove legends wrong. Lydia, our sound engineer, quiet but brave. Aaron, the skeptic. He studied psychology and loved debunking anything paranormal. We packed our gear, cameras, flashlights, drones, and walkie-talkies, and drove out around 10:30 p.m. The road to Virgil was pitch dark, cutting through cornfields and empty lots. The fog that night was thick, heavy, like the world was shrinking around us. We parked on the side of the road near where the house was said to appear. Nothing was there, just an open field. See, Aaron laughed. No house, no ghost. Let's film an outro and go home. Mason smirked. Patience, Professor. The story says after midnight. So we waited. At 12:03 a.m., Lydia whispered, "Guys, look." Through the fog, in the middle of that empty field, something began to take shape. It wasn't sudden. It was like watching a Polaroid develop. At first, it was just shadows, then walls, then windows. Within seconds, a full Victorian-style house stood there. Dark wood, steep roof, single lantern glowing on the porch. None of us spoke for a moment. The only sound was the faint hum of the wind. "I'm getting this on camera," I said, my voice shaking. I zoomed in through the viewfinder. The house looked solid, real. The windows were dark, except for one upstairs. Something was moving behind the curtain. Mason laughed nervously. "All right, let's go knock." "Are you serious?" I said. "We don't even know if that's safe." "Come on, It's probably some kind of projection or art piece. Let's prove it. He grabbed his flashlight and started toward the house. The grass felt damp under my shoes as we approached. The air grew colder with every step. By the time we reached the porch, it felt like the temperature had dropped 20 degrees. The door was slightly open. No sound, just the faint creak of wood shifting. Mason pushed it open with his boot and stepped inside. Lydia followed, then Aaron. I stayed back for a second, filming the doorway. The light from my camera barely cut through the darkness inside. The interior smelled like old wood and rot. Cobwebs covered the corners. The wallpaper was peeling, revealing strange symbols carved underneath: circles, crosses, spirals. Lydia whispered, "This place feels wrong." Aaron smirked. "Psychological suggestion. You're just primed to be scared." But even his voice was shaking. "We split up, stupid. I know, to get more footage." Mason went upstairs. I stayed on the first floor with Lydia, and Aaron checked the basement. That's when things started to go wrong. A few minutes later, Lydia's walkie crackled. Aaron's voice came through, distorted. "Guys, you hearing this?" "Hearing what?" Mason replied from upstairs. There was a pause. Then we heard it through the static, a low humming, like someone singing just below the microphone's range. Aaron spoke again, whispering, "There's something down here. I thought it was a radio, but it's not." Before we could respond, a loud thud echoed through the house. Lydia jumped. "What the hell was that?" I looked at my camera. The screen glitched for a second. A flicker of a face, pale and blurred, right in front of the lens, then gone. "Mason, get back down here," I shouted into the walkie. No reply. Lydia and I rushed to the stairs, calling for Mason. Halfway up, we found something that made my stomach turn. There were footprints, small, bare, and wet, leading up the steps. But not from Mason's boots. They were too small, like a child's. We followed them to the end of the hallway. The door to one of the rooms was closed. "Mason," I whispered. No answer. I pushed the door open. The room was empty, except for an old wooden rocking chair, moving slowly back and forth. And on the floor, in the center of the room, was Mason's flashlight still on. But he was gone. Lydia started to panic. "We have to get out of here." I agreed. We turned to head downstairs, and that's when we saw Aaron coming up from the basement. Only something was off. He was pale, his eyes wide, pupils huge. He looked like he'd seen a ghost, or worse. "What did you see?" I asked. He didn't answer at first, just whispered, "She's in the walls." "What?" "She's in the walls," he repeated, louder this time. "She never left." Lydia grabbed my arm. "We're leaving." We started toward the door, but Aaron didn't move. He was staring at the floor, mumbling something under his breath. Then, slowly, he looked up at us and said, "She wants us to stay." And in that instant, every door in the hallway slammed shut. The house seemed to breathe. The air vibrated. The lights from our flashlights flickered. From somewhere deep inside the walls, we heard whispering, dozens of overlapping voices, all repeating one phrase in a soft, sing-song tone. "Welcome home, Henry." The house was addressing us by the name of the man who built it. Lydia screamed. I grabbed her hand and ran for the stairs, pulling her down toward the front door. But the staircase had changed. The steps were longer, stretching, twisting, leading us somewhere else entirely. Every step echoed like a heartbeat. When we reached the bottom, we were no longer in the front room. We were in a long corridor lined with mirrors. Each mirror reflected us, but slightly wrong. In one, I was missing my eyes. In another, Lydia's mouth was sewn shut. Then, in one of them, I saw Mason standing behind us. I turned around. He wasn't there, but his voice came through the walkie, faint and broken. "Don't leave me here." I dropped the device. The glass in the mirrors began to ripple like water. Hands, pale and bony, pressed against the other side. We ran. We didn't know where we were going, just running through twisting hallways, past rooms that shouldn't exist. Finally, we saw it, the front door. I slammed into it, and it burst open. We stumbled out into the cold night air. The field was empty again. The house was gone. It had vanished behind us, just fog and grass. We called the police. They searched the area, found nothing, no sign of Mason, no house, no footprints. They assumed it was a prank gone wrong. I showed them the footage from my camera, but half of it was static. The rest, blurry shapes, flickering lights, and that faint humming sound. Lydia dropped out of school a week later. She wouldn't talk about it. Aaron transferred to another college entirely. As for me, I tried to move on. But every Halloween night, around midnight, I get an email. No subject line, no sender name, just a single video attachment. It's only a few seconds long, grainy footage of that same house appearing out of the fog. And through the window upstairs, I can see a silhouette. It looks like Mason, standing at the glass, waving for me to come back. Last year, I made the mistake of replying to that email. I wrote, "Who are you?" 2 minutes later, I got a response. It said, "Henry Bell built this house for the ones who never left. You walked through his door. You belong here now." Then, attached at the bottom, was a photo. It was of me standing on the porch of that house, camera in hand. But the thing is, I don't remember ever posing for it. And the background, it wasn't the field anymore. It was my current neighborhood. Tonight is Halloween again. As I record this, it's almost midnight. I've moved states, changed numbers, deleted my old accounts, but the emails keep finding me. And just now, out the corner of my eye, I saw something through the window. Fog, a faint light, and a shape taking form down the street. A dark Victorian house with one lantern glowing on the porch. I think it's waiting for me to come home.